Hi, I'm Ven and welcome to my book corner. Today we're looking at Echogenesis by Gary Gibson. It's released in 2021 and is a sci-fi novel set in presumably the far future on an alien world. As always, we shall look at the story, the world building, the characters, the writing style, and we shall end on my personal thoughts. So let's just jump straight in. The story follows the main character of Sam Newman as he awakes in some sort of weird pod on a planet that quickly becomes apparent isn't Earth. Throughout the course of the story, it becomes clear that he is one of 15 other people who have been sent to this world as what appears to be a pre-colonization effort. However, as the story moves on, it becomes clear that some things are not quite as you would expect them to be. For example, all the characters in here are considerably younger than they were previously. As they go through the computer banks of the wrecked ship which had crashed on the planet, it becomes clear that they've all lost X amount of years of their memories as well. And it sort of builds from there. There's an interesting twist in this in terms of where the people actually come from. I don't really want to spoil anything by going into any more detail with that. There are some shades here of Old Man's War by John Scalzi, in that you have enhanced and altered humans in a younger state than they were used to, but there's some other stuff going on with the way memories work, and also the longer they're on the planet, it becomes more and more clear that they may not have been the first ones here. It also covers their issues with the local wildlife and fauna, and the fact that they don't really have the skills necessary to survive due to the fact they've lost some memory, and the ship they came down on was really badly damaged. So when they first come across the intelligent life on the planet, which are probably similar intelligence to cavemen, it becomes clear very quickly how much danger they are, and human nature plays into this, and how, as a rule of thumb, mankind has dealt with itself and other intelligent life on the planet. There's an interesting premise here. It's pretty well executed as well, so pretty good. Onto the world building, and a lot of the world building here is done through the pure description of the world. The world is very quickly established to be close enough to Earth for it to be familiar, but enough differences to make it feel unsettling. This is often done through the way food is described, or at least what they try to eat and the side effects that has, and the sudden understanding that actually maybe this world isn't as safe as it appears, and not everything is quite the same as it is on Earth. There's multiple attacks from wildlife and different animals that we see, which are, again, close enough to what we have on Earth to be familiar, but are still clearly alien. Colours and textures are mentioned as well. The fact that the stars in the sky don't match up to any constellations on Earth, all that is really well done. You then hit the points where you meet the more sentient life on the planet, and it becomes clear after a couple of visits that these are not complete brainless hordes of monsters, so to speak. They clearly have some form of structure, some form of intelligence going on there. And as the world is explored further and it opens out, a little bit of world building in terms of where they've come from and how Earth was when they left, and how this may not have been the first attempt to colonize this planet. And it then starts to touch on some of the limits of the AI that was used for the colonization and stuff like that. Pretty good here as well, gotta say. So that fetches us to characters, and this is probably for me personally the weakest point for this book. There is a reasonably large cast of characters, 15 initially, which gets whittled down rather quickly, and a lot of the characters do feel expendable in a way that doesn't help you really care about them or really build anything towards them. The character that gets the most time is obviously Sam, as that's the character whose eyes we're looking through. And whilst he does get some characterisation, it's not especially deep. He is clearly there because of his history as a diplomat, but his actual actions within the story don't reflect that a great deal. In fact, in many ways, he feels like a protagonist of a video game, which I'll touch on a little bit more when I get to writing style, in that he's very much, this is a problem, we need to solve this problem, I will go and sort that problem, even if he isn't necessarily the best person to do that or in the best condition to do that. He can be quite hot-tempered, which is put down to extra hormones because he's younger, which I suppose makes a little bit of sense. And his biggest thing really through the whole story is his distrust of one of the other people called Trainer, who's in the camp. But past that, he doesn't really get a huge amount of true character development in there. He does care about the people around him, he does want the people to succeed, and he thinks he should be in charge. That's about all you get, and he's got the most sort of depth to him versus everyone else. So unfortunately, this is the one point where this book swings and misses quite badly, in my opinion. So that fetches us to writing style, and what I will say is this book was actually a really easy book to read, and I breezed through this in a couple of sessions, which for me is unusual, as I wanted to keep reading it to see what happened next. It's very, very set piece heavy in many regards, and as I mentioned when I was talking about Sam, it feels almost like a video game narrative, in that you have a main character, which for this would be Sam, who starts at base, gets a quest, goes off and does the quest, comes back, talks to everyone at base, gets a quest, goes off again, rinse and repeat, just with different quests each time. And it feels a bit like that, and that's not necessarily a criticism of how the story works. It is well paced, if very, very quick. It does have good twists in here. There is some interesting points in here around the world, and some interesting concepts that are not fully developed, but regardless are quite interesting to have a quick look at in general. But as I said, overall this is very much an action heavy, set piece driven book rather than a character focused work. So absolutely nothing wrong here. For what it's trying to do, it achieves it pretty well, I'd say. So this fetches me to final thoughts, and the biggest problem I have with this book is I started comparing this quite early on to Old Man's War by John Scalzi. There is some crossover between those books in terms of the way the characters are sort of have lost some memories, or they're considerably younger than they were previously. They've been slightly souped up and modified in some way, and they're on an alien world and they're ill-equipped to deal with it. A lot of that does sort of cross over, but whereas Old Man's War is so character-focused, this is more action-driven, and if that's what you're after, that's great. The character work for me is not particularly good in here. However, even though I did enjoy reading it, and I'd be curious to see where a sequel could go with this as well, if I'm honest, the character work does let it down a little bit. So for me, this is a 3-star read. It's an easy book to get into, it's an easy book to breathe through, but there's not a great deal of substance here. It's very much, to borrow a film term, popcorn book. Well, that's my thoughts. Have you read this or any more of Gibson's work? What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, a like and follow is always appreciated, but never required. I'll catch you all next time.